Well, let's dive in, y'all. Happy Wednesday. We're digging into today's topic. Looks like there's one waiting to come in. There, you got it. You got it, Braden. Nice work. We're gonna dive into today's topic, and so today we're opening up the group. We want to have the entrepreneurs, the EAs, or admins, whatever role that person is to support the entrepreneur. I've got my amazing assistant Susan on here as well, and I want you guys to ask us lots of questions. And I'll toss over to Braden for housekeeping here in a bit, but one of the things I've found as we've been diving in, number one, a lot of you all do have people helping you, which is amazing. So if you are the entrepreneur, you're following our advice and getting help and not just kind of grinding away without asking for help. So you're getting help from these very people on this call. So all you EAs, admins, assistants, whatever that role is, operations leaders, you guys are amazing. Thank you guys and gals for hopping on here, because the entrepreneurs could not make the impact that they make without your role. And it's as important, I feel, as the entrepreneur role. So thank you guys for investing in those relationships. And what we want to walk through today is kind of this continuum of having a reactionary EA and transitioning or advancing that EA in our lives to what I call the strategic EA. And I've had both. And what my hope is during this call is for the entrepreneur, the founder, to recognize where you can step in and grow to support your EA more effectively, where you can unshackle that EA, where maybe you don't realize that you currently are, where you maybe are micromanaging that amazing person helping you, and you can step back and really set them free so they can make the biggest impact possible. And then also for the EA, I want this to be an opportunity for you to see a greater vision for the impact you can make for your role. Because I think all too often assistants kind of get put in a little box, right? They're a person that the founder delegates to versus a true partner in their business. And so I want the EA to see a greater opportunity for their role, but also I want you to see greater responsibility in your role. And so we're going to walk you guys through some things that my assistant Susan and I do. We're not perfect. We're growing every single week together. But I have had an assistant for 13, 14, for almost 14 years now straight. Susan is my third, and every single time I make an upgrade. And so I'm so pumped to have Susan here, hopefully for the next decade plus. But I'm going to toss over to Braden. Any housekeeping items, buddy? I know we've got Intensive coming up, other amazing things. Housekeeping, then we'll dig into the topic.
Yeah, Intensive is the biggest one. We got a bunch of tickets sold already, which is super exciting. I love it when everyone's as hyped as we are. As soon as we made that announcement, I had like 7 of you respond, sign me up. So we got that going. Emails should be in your inbox. There's also a post in the Facebook group that has all the information about Intensive and also a link for the room block that Susan secured. I do think there's an expiration date on that. So if you are coming to Intensive, please go book your room. Use that link to get special pricing. And please let me know so we can get your ticket reserved to make sure you got tickets to all the other fun stuff we're doing as well. Intensive is April 13 and 14 in Arizona. So it's going to be sweet. Accountability calls. We're doing these once a month. It's the last Tuesday of the month. It's been fun. There's been a handful of you guys that are showing up consistently, and just seeing the difference in when we started this 3 or 4 months ago and how you didn't even know what the priority was to showing up once a month. This is what I need to get done. This is what went great or what I had trouble with over the last 30 days. And how can we have a touch point each week that helps you make more progress to getting the right things done? So that's been amazing. I'd love to see more of you guys there. If there's a priority, however big or small, that we can help drive accountability and help you make progress on. Next week, we're going to do something very similar to what we're doing today, where we're bringing you a whole bunch of our tools for EAs. We've got a lot of different things, but there's just so many tools. Today, we're going to help it make super obvious what you do at what point to own which things. Next week's going to be very similar about owning your time. We've got a whole bunch of tools that help you audit your time, buy back your time, make better use of your time. But there's a lot of them. So next we're going to give you a really consolidated focus on here's the tool for the right thing and how it all plays off of each other. If you've not, please make sure you go check out the link to pre-schedule your one-on-one calls with Trevor. You get these one-on-one coaching calls once a quarter for being part of Epic. And they fill up quick. A lot of people wait kind of to the last minute, and everyone wants them at the same time. So the link is open. You can schedule out, I think most of the year at this point. So please do that so we can get your time reserved in the quarter where it makes the most sense. That's what I got for you today.
Dude, I love it. And like Braden said, guys and gals, so today's call, it was actually spurred by some coaching calls I had this last fall. So November, December, I've got a couple of my one-on-one coaching clients, and they have assistants. They're amazing. One of them has been working with this assistant slash kind of ops admin for over 10 years. And as we were diving in, really seeing this CEO be really, really busy, right? Not just be busy, but be kind of busy all over the place. And we're going to talk about that next week in the How to Own Your Time training, to go from reactionary to intentional on the other side, to intentionally owning your time. Your EA is a massive, massive role in that. And so as we were digging in, and we were getting that, those two CEOs time and their vices eliminated and getting their brain back. Then the next thing was going, great, let's get your schedules dialed in. And the first question was, what kind of relationship do you have with do you have an EA? Number one, and what kind of relationship do you have with that person? And they both had that EA in kind of a box where it was a person that they just delegated tasks to. They hadn't really freed that person to really make the greatest contribution to helping them succeed and helping them drive together as partners. And that's a major, major opportunity. So we dug in, and Susan has been helping with that as well. And it's been a joy seeing the growth that they've had together. And the one ask that they had is they go, can you guys give us like a list of all the trainings for the EAs? And so we worked on it. We said, let's just put it together for everybody. So it's really simple. So everybody knows, and your EAs know exactly what trainings in Epic are ones that we want you and your EAs to go through in what order. And so this is kind of the central executive assistant, admin, assistant training that we're creating for Epic, that this is where you start. If you're a CEO or an admin, an assistant, and you want to learn how to advance together and build better together. So the strategic EA is going to be that foundation. It's going to jump you off into other trainings to really dig into the details of inbox handling and other things like that. So where does this fit in the Entrepreneur Freedom Formula? So this fits right here in the energy and time bucket, where it's going to help that entrepreneur get the energy and time back, but also enable for the EA to be able to hopefully step in and improve their energy and time, because they're being utilized more effectively, and it's a greater partnership. But when that happens, the energy and time comes back so that you can give more. Okay. When we grow, we increase our capacity to give. And so that's what this is about, is we want to grow the capacity so we have a chance to give more. So question for y'all. I want 100% participation. EAs, CEOs, every single person. I absolutely love hearing the feedback. Energizes me, helps me know where we're going to go in the training. But for EAs, no matter your role type, even if your role maybe isn't EA specifically, but for the admins, the ones who are supporting the founders, what percentage of your time are you in reactionary mode versus proactive partnership? So take kind of a quick little guess. Pop it in the comments box. No judging. If your boss, CEO, founder is on this call, don't be shy. Put the number in, because I think that's something that creates that baseline that we get to grow from. So 50%, 60%, same thing. I want you guys to compare. If you have your EA on here, I want you guys to compare your numbers. The CEO and the EAs, compare those numbers, because if there's a gap in the number, we get a chance to close that gap and then move it forward. So CEOs. What percentage of your time are you micromanaging versus true delegation? And by micromanaging, I mean that the EA oftentimes maybe doesn't really fully get released to go do what they do until you delegate something, or you delegate something, but you're micromanaging the heck out of it. Okay. If you let me know what percentage of your time you're micromanaging versus true delegation, CEOs. Okay. So put that in there. Now, EAs, you might have a different answer. I want you to talk to your CEOs about that and go, man, I feel like I'm micromanaged all the time, or I feel like you never are. So have that conversation with your CEO outside of this call. But the highest level EA isn't a task taker, right? They're a strategic partner who helps turn vision into a weekly executable reality. And I want to circle a couple things. Okay, they're a strategic partner. So we're going to talk about what a strategic partner as an EA is. I'll give you an example right now. Susan, who's on this call, I delegated a lot of things. She's been with me for a few months now, and she's been able to take on so much, but over periods of time, more and more and more. And now she pretty much runs my private lending side of the business. I mean, I literally get a text message saying, hey, this one came in. I already looked at it. It fits the criteria. I recommend on approving it. And all I have to do from then on out is she'll text message me the information to approve a wire transfer that my bank is going to call me. I give the bank the code and it's done. The entire rest of the business, she's running. She's a strategic partner. She's not a person I'm just delegating to. Okay. And so it's that in so many other areas. And that's where we want you guys to step into that together as well. But that person then helps turn your vision, Mr. and Mrs. CEO, into reality. Okay. By helping you actually make sure that you're executing it and staying on priority. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I want to hear from the EAs on this one. Same thing, I might make your founder comfortable. So Mr. and Mrs. CEO, prepare to get uncomfortable, hopefully. But what I want you to answer on the EA side of things is how often do you think your CEO is actually doing the most important priority? Is it most of the time? Is it the least amount of the time? Is it less than 50%? Is it kind of half-seas? I know I kind of vary, and I'm working really hard on it. I try to spend 70, 80% of my time working on the most important thing, but invariably life and other things pull you in. So it's a constant tug. Yeah, 50, 50, 50, 20% on firefighting. Yeah, 100%. So the problems that we experience, we have an EA that is still overwhelmed. Okay. We have an EA, but we're still overwhelmed. And it's not like by hiring that admin, that support, that the overwhelm is going to completely go away forever, because we're going to go in cycles. But if we're not really using that EA as a partner and working with them as a true partner, then we are going to continually be overwhelmed, and probably even more overwhelmed after hiring that EA than when we started, because we're not changing the way that we're reacting. We're not changing the way that we're leading as a leader. So we think that making that hire is going to make us have less work, and we actually end up having more work because we're not delegating effectively and leading effectively. We become even a greater bottleneck, because now not only do we have a person that is ready and willing to take things on from us, but we still keep some of the things that we should be delegating out. So we become a bigger and bigger bottleneck. We did delegate some stuff off, but we're not delegating true ownership off. We're delegating task ownership. And then oftentimes, and this was me for, I would say, probably the first 3 to 4 years of having Jen, my first real executive assistant. Pretty much, I would say 70% of the time, in that first year for sure, but the first couple years, most of her working time was, if I delegated something to her, then it would come back, and then I would delegate the next thing. And she did work hard to go find things proactively to do, but I just didn't let her do that. I didn't know how to work with an EA effectively. Okay, sometimes I wondered, shoot, what is she doing today? I don't know. I didn't really delegate her much a couple of days ago, so I don't know what she's doing today. And so then I would either not ask, and I would assume that she's either really, really busy, but maybe she wasn't, and she didn't want to ping me because we hadn't created that relationship and that full trust yet to make that happen. But then also, sometimes I would assume, going, shoot, I don't know if she's doing anything right now. Right? In reality, she was working her butt off. But because I hadn't delegated things off, and I hadn't delegated ownership of things off, I didn't know what she was doing. So sometimes I would assume the opposite. I would assume the worst, or assume the best. And either way, it doesn't work. Okay, my calendar runs me, which is good. The calendar should really guide us, but we want to make sure that we're pulling things off of our calendar, pulling responsibilities off of our calendar, and elevating that EA to be able to take real responsibility on. Okay. So what we're wanting to move towards is a true partner in business, not just somebody that we delegate to. The plan gets out of our heads. So now the EA knows where we're going. That person knows the company vision. The person knows the company goals, knows the strategy, knows the people on your team. You encourage them to work directly with the people on your team and not just be kind of sequestered over with you. That person shows up to meetings in your place for you, acting as you in those meetings, because you've trained them and you've prepared them, and you're getting that time back and be able to advance your agenda and your plan forward because you got this plan out of your head. Now they're truly able to run in front of you, and the things start moving without me chasing. Okay, just like this morning, Susan texted me, like I mentioned it before, a year ago on my private lending business, I always had to initiate the next step before Susan came in. and she sent me a text message and a Slack because we have a certain communication cadence that works for us, and just said, hey, I want you to check this out. You've got a new loan request, $215,000, closing Tuesday, need to move fast. Got a holiday Monday. I Slacked you the summary. Let me know if you approve it. And we're going to do this with it. And bam. It's like recommendation, move on it. We moved on it quick. So things start to move without me chasing. You can do 10 times more. And then the calendar starts to reflect your highest priorities more often. Okay. So I'm going to dive into the model, and there's not a lot for me to teach in here. So I'm going to teach the model. I'm going to show you where the resources are. We're going to give you some principles to follow. But what I'd absolutely love is, since I've got Susan on here, and we've got the admins and CEOs on here, I want you guys asking questions. So what I'd love for you guys to do is right now start to think of what are the biggest challenges you're going through. Where are the spots where you as an EA are frustrated? Where are the spots where you as the CEO are frustrated? Where are you guys maybe not aligned well on what goes into priority, or not aligned well on how best to organize the CEO's time? Maybe you guys haven't got a good communication cadence and pattern set in place yet. We can ask us questions, and Susan and I will open up and show you guys anything that is valuable for y'all. We'll just open it up and show you everything. Are we perfect? No, but I think that what we can share with you can completely change the way that you run your business, can completely change your life. Okay, so I'm going to show you a couple resources in this training. I'm going to walk you through a basic EA checklist and resources. Okay, we're going to take you from just task support on the EA side to real priority and impact. Okay, and we're going to walk you through what should you do in order as an EA, and as a CEO, what would I propose you start to delegate in order. And then we're going to show you the exact resources within Epic that when you're ready for those resources are there. Okay, another thing that we have out there that is in the members area, so this is actually online in the members area, is the actual links to those resources. Okay, so we have this little thing in there that we'll link up to you guys today called the Executive Assistant Track. That's new in the past month or so. Is it perfect? No, we're going to continue to simplify it and make it better, but it's better than what we had 90 days ago. Okay, so the Executive Assistant Track is going to walk you through how to do these things. Once we get the strategic EA training done, we'll link that one up here, this one we're doing today. And then we're going to walk you through with links to the other trainings that we're talking about here on today's call. Okay, so this is today. This is kind of how to think about it, and this is how to actually apply it inside of the members area. Here's the trainings that you can go get links to. Okay, guys, so that's kind of that 1-2 punch. All right. So the biggest thing, and I can't take credit for this. So Jen, my EA for almost 10 years. She joined me, I can't even remember the year, but it was before Carrot. So she joined me probably 2012 or so, 2012, 2013. I found Jen. There was an entrepreneur in town. I was working at a local coffee shop, and he walked by. He saw me reading the book. I didn't have an assistant at that time. I had failed and tried to hire an assistant prior. That assistant was a great gal, but not a great fit for me. So she lasted a few weeks. I wasn't a good fit for either one of us. And I kind of tucked my tail, and I decided, I don't know if I can make this assistant thing work. It was a hard couple weeks, and I lost a lot of confidence that I was ready for it personally, and that I could find the right person. And so I was sitting there in the coffee shop reading a leadership book, and this guy walked by, and he goes, hey, that book, I've read that book. How are you liking it? So he struck up a conversation. We got to talking. He started showing up to a monthly entrepreneur meetup that I used to host for over a decade. Here we would get dozens and dozens of entrepreneurs showing up every single month, talking about entrepreneurship and really wanting to build businesses together and make this community better. And then I put out an email. I finally got the courage to say I could not do these things anymore, because I was fully stuck in what I'm going to talk about next week. I was fully stuck in reactionary mode, just barely keeping up. So I sent an email out to that list. He was on that list. And it was actually him who said, hey, my wife might be great for this role. So Jen actually came from the local newspaper. She had administrative skills. She had some marketing skills. She was well-spoken. And I had no clue how to work with an EA at all. I just knew I had a lot of things I had to do. I knew I couldn't get to them, and I needed someone that was kind of like a Swiss Army knife to be able to help me with a bunch of different types of things, no matter what came up. So she joined. And I remember in that first conversation, and this might be something that strikes a chord with the CEOs or the EAs here. In that first conversation, I was casting vision to her for the type of work that I thought would be interesting for her to do, or that I thought she might be interested to do. Now, hindsight 2020, I did it because I thought those things were interesting. Okay, marketing, stepping into doing some more of the marketing sides of things and messaging and things like that prior to Carrot. And I go, hey, and here's all this kind of, I called it crap work at the time. Here's all this stuff over here that you probably don't want to do, but man, if you want to, you can grow into this marketing stuff. And she nodded her head and said, yeah, that'd be cool. So what happened in that first year is I really just kept her in this I was in reactive, but I really kept her in that reactionary phase. Okay. I went from a solopreneur with no help. You run around with the, like shaking with my head cut off. I hired this person. I cast a vision for her on where she could go, but I was placing my own desires of what I like to do on her. We get to the end of the year, and I really didn't delegate probably half of the things I should have delegated, because I didn't want to delegate things to her that I thought she would not enjoy, because I wanted her to stay. I didn't want her to have a job that was filled with what I considered crap work. Now, it was not crap work. It was the very most important stuff that needed to get done. It was the stuff that at the end of the year, her and I had our first review, and I just said, Jen, what are the parts that were the best part of this year? And what were the parts that the worst? And what are the parts that drained your energy and gave you energy? And she said, well, those couple marketing assignments you gave me, I don't know, it drained my energy. I don't really like to do that type of a thing. I said, well, what gave you energy? She goes, I just want to support you. In any of those small things that you don't want to do, I love those things. I love organizing your office. I love doing this. I love doing that. All the small things that I put a bucket and I said it was crap work. It was not. That was the very thing that she absolutely loved to do. She was a caregiver. She was a supporter, and that's what she was great at. So we need to, as entrepreneurs, pull back and say, every piece of work is important. There is no crap work. All of it's important. And when we find a person that is the yin to our yang, and that person is amazing at those things, and they absolutely love to do those things, amazing, because you love to do things that they probably don't love to do. And when we're paired together, you guys can just make amazing things happen. So I would say that first year was pretty much 90%, 100% probably in reactionary mode. And I probably inadvertently kept her in that role for probably the first 2 years, really where most of her work, I was delegating things to her. Hey, Jen, here's some things I need to get done. Can you get them done? Here's when I'd like them done by. Here's some guidance. Okay, I would use the 10-80-10 principle that we talk about, y'all. So the 10-80-10 principle. So CEOs, if you're delegating incorrectly, use the 10-80-10 principle, and it's going to help you a lot more. Go follow our training and our transformational leadership training that walks through that. So I started to get even more busy as our company grew, and I realized I was not leveraging the true talents that Jen had. Okay, and so we started to move into a lot more of this side of things over here. This is probably 3 years in, but once again, I was a slow learner. She was ready far sooner than I was. Okay, this is over 10 years ago. So when it really happened, when it really shifted for me mindset wise, is when my team grew well into the dozens, and her and I were talking, and she had read an amazing book. I don't remember what the book was, but she read a book that's an EA coach. And that coach said, if you really want to be the greatest contributor to that company, to that entrepreneur, and to be able to really open up your career path, you need to move from the reactionary modes into proactive and strategic. And so her and I had that conversation, and she brought to me and she said, I'd love to move into a strategic EA. This is years ago. And I go, what is a strategic EA? I have no clue what that means, because I'm just used to piling on tasks and delegating them off and us working together. And what does that mean? And she said, well, I really don't fully know where we're going with this business. I know there's a vision out there, but I haven't taken the time to really familiarize myself with it, because I knew I just kind of worked for you. I really don't have relationships with the other leaders around the company. I'm just kind of the person that works with you. So I really don't have those relationships with those leaders where they trust me as a leader, myself. I'm not reaching out to build trust with those people. And I really don't know exactly what your highest level priorities are. So in this area, we use my priority tracker. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the priority tracker here in a bit. We use my priority tracker, but I owned it. Okay, I owned it. If I didn't put anything on that priority tracker that week, nothing went on the priority tracker. Okay, and then Jen would kind of nudge me, and we would hope we would get back to it the next week. In the proactive, the EA owns the priority tracker. Okay, the EA owns your priority tracker. Now, it doesn't mean that the EA owns your priorities. The EA doesn't own adding stuff to the priority tracker. The EA doesn't get to choose what goes in the priority tracker. You as the CEO chooses what goes in the priority tracker, but the EA owns the responsibility of making sure that that priority tracker gets filled out every single Monday or Friday. The EA cannot start their work until that priority tracker is created, because how can that EA step in to be a strategic EA if they have no clue what your priorities are for that week? If they have no clue what your priorities are for that month? I was keeping a blindfold inadvertently on Jen by not fulfilling my duty as a CEO of getting disciplined and writing down what my priorities were as a CEO for that month and for that week, so she could be my best partner. So I'm going to call you out on the CEO side of things. If you guys think that not having priorities and not having a calendar with commitments on it is a good thing, that gives you quote unquote freedom, I can tell you that freedom comes from pre-decision. Freedom comes from pre-deciding what's important, where it's going to go, so that you can then have the freedom to do the things that you want to do and not be tied to busy work all the time. And that also gives you more freedom, because now your EA can be a partner to help you make that thing happen. Okay. And Susan and I can I'll kind of talk through how we use the priority tracker, but we have a priority tracker training that we're doing. The last one we did was way back in the first couple months of starting the Epic program. We're going to bring that one back. I think it's a few weeks out. We're revamping that priority tracker. We would invite all the EAs, CEOs to come back, because if all you guys and gals do together is do the priority tracker on the weekly basis and turn that into your calendar, that can completely transform the way that the CEO makes an impact, the way the EA makes an impact, and completely control completely transform both of your time. Okay. So what we want to move into is figure out where you are in this continuum. So I'm going to ask you guys and gals this question right now, and I want to ask of the EAs. Where in this continuum do you think that you are right now? And there's no wrong answer, because the good thing is we get to move to the right. Okay, so let me know in the comments box if you're the CEO and you're like, hey, I don't have an admin, I'm the solo entrepreneur. CEO, put that in. Hey, I'm a solo entrepreneur, so I don't really have any help there. And there's no problem with that. When the timing is right, we'll help you get that help. Okay. Now, if you have an EA or an admin of some sort who's on this call, are you in the reactionary bucket, or the vast majority of your working days, you're kind of receiving tasks and you're not really sure what you own other than owning the tasks that entrepreneur delegates over your way? Or maybe there has started to be some delegation of ownership over things, so that EA can truly drive and own certain things, own certain parts of the business, own certain parts of the major activities from start to finish. But there's still a lot of reactionary. Let me know. Are you in the reactionary EA? Maybe you're kind of 70, 30, 50, 50, pop it in there. Or maybe you're in the proactive, where 60, 70% or more of your time is proactive and very little of it is reactionary task work. Let me know that. That's proactive. And then strategic is, I am most of the time in that strategic partner role. Now, it doesn't mean you're still going to get all kinds of things delegated to you. Okay. It doesn't mean that the CEO does not delegate tasks. That's still a part of that role, and it's going to be a part of that role forever. Okay. But it means we're delegating tasks, but there's buckets of things that EA truly owns. That EA is building relationships with your other leaders in your company. If there is other leaders, that EA is building relationships with your team, your customers. That EA knows your plan, your strategic plan. Inside now. The start of the year is kicking off, so we're going to be making sure our team and Susan is very, very clear on my personal plan and the company's plan. That's strategic. Okay, where that EA is bringing you ideas to say, hey, this thing that we're doing, I already caught this email. I thought 3 steps beyond it, and I went ahead and resolved that and fixed this thing over here, and you didn't even have to think about this, because they're strategically out ahead of you. Okay. So we've got proactive, and I would encourage the EAs to pop in there kind of where you think that you are, or the CEOs can do the same thing. Okay. So here's the EA levels. And this is where I would really encourage you guys to write down some questions, hold some questions to the side, or pop questions through right now. And we'll do questions here in about 10 minutes. But the very first thing that I'm going to have in EA take over when they come in, or the very first thing that I would encourage someone to have their EA take over, which this is the obvious, is just task support, right? It's the things like travel and logistics. So there could be local logistics. And one of those things that is a small thing that Susan helps me with is make sure I've got a haircut every 2 to 3 weeks. Because if it was up to me, I wouldn't have a haircut. My wife would hate my hair because it grows crazy fast, and I have a lot of hair on the top, and she'd be like, babe, can you get a haircut? And then she would end up booking me a haircut. And so those things like that, I never have to think about. They're out ahead. Just life logistics or office logistics, whatever it's going to be. Okay. Task support, I would say basic email, meaning that EA is in your inbox. You're still looking at email on a daily basis potentially, but they're in there catching some of the more obvious things or the more easy things. Okay. Basic meetings, meaning that EA is going to be in with you on some meetings. That EA is definitely doing a weekly sync with you, a weekly EA sync, where you guys look at your priorities and look at your calendar, update the calendar for the week right there. But then they're going to be in some meetings with you potentially. Okay. And then that person is their number one job with you in that first 30 days. Number one job in the first 30 days is to create the EA playbook. Okay. So if there's EAs on this call and you don't have a playbook yet, where you've kind of documented a lot of things, you've documented the preferences of your CEO. Do they like to sit in the front of the airplane? Do they like to sit in the side? You know, what airline do they prefer? What airports do they prefer? Those types of things should be documented in a playbook. What their address is, what their parents' names are, what their siblings' names are. She has access to my house playbook. There's all those things that EA is going to need to be able to do the basic necessities. Okay, do they have access to a credit card? Those things should be either in the playbook or saved. You can't have that EA have to come to you for every $20, $30, $40, $50 purchase. Give them the ability to go out there and make those purchases and give them those tools to do that so they can do the basic task support. Okay. Yeah, Joseph, I'll give you the template for it. I can even show it to you guys briefly on this call. It's not fancy, but I'll share mine with you. It's going to have all my stuff in it. So you're going to have to get rid of my stuff and put your stuff in it, but I'll share it with you for sure. So once we get past basic task support, that's minimum. I would say probably going to save you minimum 5 to 10 hours a week. Okay, as a CEO, minimum 5 to 10 hours a week. I don't care who you are in this call. If your business is $250,000 a year or $12 million a year, even at $250,000 a year, you can save 5 to 10 hours a week with someone helping you out with the basic task support, and it would be far worth it. Okay, so then the next thing up here, number 2, is the inbox. Now, this is an area. Let me know, founders, who has a real hard time letting go of their inbox. Who in here has had a really hard time fully delegating email? Who in here literally could not go a week without logging into your inbox? Okay. Now, I log into my inbox from time to time, probably more than I should. Susan and I were talking yesterday, and she was talking about an email. I'm like, oh shoot, I saw that one already. I probably shouldn't have even been in there. It was my fault. I shouldn't have even been in there. I was looking at something else. I saw the email. So I still log in from time to time, but Susan fully owns the inbox. That inbox is her inbox, not my inbox. Okay. Now, it does take a lot of work, a lot of trust to work there towards that. One of the biggest reasons I've found that entrepreneurs don't want to delegate the inbox is they're afraid of what the EA is going to see in there. They're afraid of what the EA is going to see in there. They're afraid of the EA seeing their financial statement. They're afraid of the EA seeing something that they probably shouldn't be doing, right? A login attempt at something, or a welcome email from something, or whatever it is. If that's the case, you got to eliminate that anyway. Get rid of that vice in your life. Get rid of that. So if there's any thought where it's like, oh shoot, I can't open up my inbox so my EA sees all this, we need to be able to get to a spot where we feel comfortable that there's nothing in there that if it was public and open out there, other than like your social security number and your bank account and stuff like that, that you would be okay reputationally if someone saw that. Okay. The second thing is in your hiring process. If you don't trust your EA to be in your inbox literally after the first week of working with you, then you probably have the wrong person. Okay. So make sure you're going through the high confidence hiring process to really make sure you've got a culture match, a great trust and reputational match, because your EA, and this is one of the first conversations Susan and I had, that your EA is going to very likely see more deep details about you, maybe even than your spouse is going to on a daily basis. Okay. Your EA is going to see everything about you. Okay. Inside of the inbox and working with you, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Right out of the gate, Susan saw real estate transactions that are happening, personal emails with friends, but mostly it's just a bunch of businessy stuff that I was just getting locked in on. Okay. So we want to have the EA truly own the inbox. We want to have them truly organize the inbox, one inbox and inbox zero, meaning we want the founder to have zero inbox. Okay. Today, a system that's working really, really well is Susan will capture the email. She'll process them. In the early phases, there's a lot of back and forth that has to go to kind of review the email and coach, but then you keep on letting it go. And today, she'll send a Slack message or a text message that'll look something like what I'm about to show you. And it runs through screenshots of that email, like this email right here. She's got some screenshots of emails. I can buzz through Slack. I'm not tempted to get distracted by my email inbox. She says, hey, you got an email from this person. You typed a draft. Is it ready to go to send, or can I do it? I can zoom in on it, look on the email, quickly reply to her. I don't get my inbox. Okay, that's the aim. So figure out what works for y'all, but that works for us. So the theory is the entrepreneur has zero inbox. Okay. So the next thing, after you've done that, you've bought back minimum 5 hours a week, minimum, just by delegating your inbox off. That might take 4 to 6 weeks to do it fully. Okay. The next thing then is calendar. So not just having your EA book appointments when you ask them to book appointments, but literally fully owning the calendar, Meaning, and this is a conversation that Susan and I've had is I want to look at my Wednesday, and I literally want, like, I'll get crazy literal with it. If I had to live exactly what's on my calendar that day, is that what I'm supposed to be doing that day? Okay, if I literally had to live exactly what's on my calendar, is that the day that I would want to do? I remember having the conversation with Jen years ago, and this is because I didn't communicate well. It wasn't on her, it's because I didn't communicate well, and I was letting things go. I was letting things be on my calendar that I knew I wasn't going to do that day. Okay, I knew I wasn't going to go do that thing to whatever that thing with that partner was. I knew I wasn't going to go to that lunch meeting. I knew I wasn't going to do that thing that's a 1 hour focus block. I was going to do these other things, and I didn't put them on the calendar. Or there was inadvertently 2 meetings booked back to back in my not back to back at the same time in my EA. She missed it that day, so I said, "Hey Jen, we need to treat this calendar like I literally have to live it point by point, and I can't be at 2 meetings at once. So I need you to own the calendar. I need you to be the one that goes out in front of me and make sure that you're clear in the way that calendar is accurate, so I can make sure I'm getting done the right things. Family first, life first, business second." Okay, so proactive weekly, integrated week training, and then we have our pre-stacked year training. Okay, so these are trainings right here, our integrated week and pre-stacked year. If you do these 2 together, that can completely change the dynamic on how you as the CEO manage your time and how that EA supports you. Okay, once we've got the calendar really dialed, and I know I'm blowing through this and making it sound simpler than it can be in real life, then it's priority. Okay, and this is the spot that I think most of us don't get to, is we need to keep that entrepreneur in our genius zone. Give that EA the permission to call you out. Give that EA the permission to ask you, Trevor, why didn't you get that done when you were supposed to get that done in your focus block? Have them make sure that they're clear that their primary job is to make sure that you get your priorities done, not that they get all the tasks done. Once I shifted over to this 5-6 years ago, where my EA, when Jen and I were working together at that time, we were asking the question, well, shoot, what would go on your scorecard if you were an EA, right? What would go on your scorecard? And we never had an answer, because the answer is not that I got 80% of my tasks done. Because what if I give you just a bunch of bad tasks to do, or they're the wrong things to do? What if I'm doing the wrong things? The scorecard for an EA should be what percentage of that CEO's priorities that were on the priority tracker for the month and the week actually got finished and actually got complete. And ideally, we want to be 80% plus. Okay. Some weeks I'm 80%, 100%. Some weeks I'm 20% still. And we have to pull back and go, oh, shoot, what happened last week? Why was it a 20%? Did I put the wrong things on there? Sometimes, yeah, I put the wrong things on there. I go, why did I put the wrong things on there? What do I need to look at to make sure I put the right things on there next time? Or sometimes I overbooked the schedule, or sometimes there are things that came up that I thought were going to take an hour and they ended up taking 3. And so we have to know what percentage of your actual priorities are getting done on a monthly and weekly basis. And that's what your EA owns. Okay, your EA is accountable for your CEO, for your priorities, not accountable for getting them done. They're accountable to make sure that you get them done. Okay, so you want them to be that accountability partner. You want them to call you out. You want them to make sure that whatever you put in that priority tracker on Monday or Friday actually ends up on your calendar, and you have everything you need on that calendar in that description. Links to any documents, a reminder of what you're supposed to use that hour for, because you're going to forget 4 days from now, and you're going to do whatever's in front of you. And then that EA needs to have the permission to call you out, the permission to be hard on you, but loving, to make sure that they shepherd you through to get those things done. Because when you're at your best, you're going to move mountains. When your EA's at their best, they're helping you move those mountains together. They're your partner. Okay. And so that's kind of the continuum, guys. If I were to do 1, 2, 3, 4, that's the order. And you can totally pull all this off, and depending on that relationship and how fast you move, in 90 days to a year. With Susan, when she came in, because I've gone through this and she's got a lot of experience and she's amazing, I think we were probably in this spot within 60 days, maybe even quicker. I don't know. Okay, but my first time around, it took me years. So here's the EA checklist and resource that goes along with these sections. Okay, so I'm going to open up for questions now. This is a resource I would encourage you guys to check out, to print off, maybe so the EAs can print it off, or you can put it up there. That hopefully guides you through and points you to the resources within the Epic program. They're going to help you with that thing. Okay, so in the task support side, one of the very first things you should do is get that EA playbook created. Well, we've got an EA playbook template for you. Okay, so use our template, and then just start to kind of go through it. And over the next few months, ask your CEO those questions, get their information in that playbook, their personality type, all the details about them should be in that playbook, their preferences on certain things. Get that built out. And that's a living, breathing document that's just going to help you in a big way. Okay. The next thing that you're going to want to get done, even if you are in the proactive stage, is get a working with me document created. Okay, a working with me document is an amazing tool that the EA should create for themselves and the CEO should create for themselves and share them with each other. That working with me document, Susan and I picked mine up, I think it was on Monday this week or Friday. She had a question because there was a really important thing that came through my inbox on Friday. She messaged it to me. I can't remember if it was Friday evening or Saturday, because she's like, this looks important. We need to get on it, which it was important. And she asked the question. She said, I want to pull back. What is the process? Like, how do you want me to communicate those types of things if it is after hours? I go, you know what? Rather than me telling you off the top of my brain, let's go look and see what the working with me document says. What did I put there? And I read it. And I'm like, yeah, that's accurate. But what we probably need to do is we probably need to expand what I consider an emergency. So that's what I'm going to be adding to that working with me document on what is it that I consider emergency. And those are the types of things that I only want to be contacted in emergencies after hours. Okay. After 5 o'clock on weekends, things like that. Anything else can wait till Monday. Okay. So the working with me doc, we have an AI tool. Actually, I can show you guys these things, but it's going to take you about 10 minutes to fill out that AI tool. And it's literally going to create you a working with me doc. Put in your personality profiles as an EA and as a CEO, your Myers-Briggs, if you took it, or your Enneagram or your Colby score, put those in there. Answer a few questions. It's going to spit out a document that is going to make it a dream for you guys to work to get together now. Okay. Get your weekly EA sync meeting going. Every week, minimum, you and the EA and the CEO should be meeting on Monday or Friday. But you should also have touch points throughout the week. But the weekly sync is the thing that looks at that priority tracker. You cannot move on the rest of your week if you're an EA unless that CEO has their priority tracker filled out. You cannot be at your best as an EA unless your CEO steps forward and does their job to identify their priorities so you can get their calendar right and you can clear the deck to make sure that they're getting the most important things. Okay. Inbox handler training. delegation process, the pre-stacked year. There's all these trainings in here that are going to help you all work together as you're looking to grow in those. Okay, are these perfect? No. Are they going to transform the relationship you have working together? They will if you use half of them. But this is going to be kind of that roadmap that points you off towards our trainings. Alrighty, y'all. So what I'd like to do is open up for Q&A, and you guys can take it wherever you want to take it. I haven't talked to Susan about it prior to this, but I would love if there were questions that were for me, for Susan, and also guys ask the hard questions. So raise your hand and we'll dive in. Jeremy.
Hey, calendar items. I love the idea of having the calendar like totally stacked out. However, of course, there's always leads that may come in or whatever, and you want some freedom to be able to deal with that. And those are always, you know, an incoming lead is obviously going to take a pretty high priority.
Yep.
But how do you build in room for that kind of stuff and just, I'll say, some freedom of space to deal with whatever may come up along the way?
Yeah.
I guess, I don't know, that it seems to me that whenever I try to build out like, okay, we're going to build this like super strict calendar, I'm going to have this all, I've got buffers in between and all that. And we're like, I'm feeling pretty good about it and cool, let's do it. It just never really, and maybe it's because I'm so easily distracted and there's some discipline issues. That is very possibly the deal there too. But I'm just curious because I think you and I have been a lot alike in finding something to go chase rather than whatever is supposed to be in front of us. And so I'm curious to know how you've wrestled with that and just where you've gotten with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing is just give yourself grace that the calendar should be kind of a living, breathing thing. You know, we go through seasons, our needs change through seasons, our goals change through seasons. And so Susan and I are pretty actively all the time adjusting those blocks in the calendar. So if you end up finding, Jeremy, that man, I keep on I'm not able to get my focus time in on Mondays and Tuesdays, and I've got these blocks, pull back and ask why, what's coming up during those times, and then make an adjustment. And I always like to do experiments. I go, well, let's experiment with, let's move this to this day, and then let's expand this over here, and let's see what that feels like for a couple weeks, and try it out. If it works, you keep it until it doesn't work, and then when it doesn't work, you change it. But it is tricky when you are the one receiving the calls, right? So that's when I don't have an easy answer for that. When you are the one receiving the calls, and they are in the moment, they're needed. I mean, there's one of two things you can do. You can either just get really strict and say, I'm going to look at when these calls come in. I'm going to literally look at my data over the last 6 months, and this 2-hour window on Tuesday and on Friday, I really rarely got calls. I'm going to put my focus time there, knowing I rarely get calls from sellers during those times. And then you can just fully unplug, and you can have your EA or a call center or something, have it routed to that person, because you know it's probably not going to happen that you're going to get a call because data showed it. But then you can have that person tackle it, and that gives you an opportunity to train that person to accept that call. They can go through a quick triage and text message you and say, hey, Jeremy, emergency. This one's hot. I need to transfer this one over to you. Yeah. So that's one thing that you could do. But yeah, just try to figure out if you can.
That one's the lesser of the two evils for me, for sure. It's just not as common. It's just
what's the bigger one? Just the distraction.
Just easily just like not staying on point or whatever. Because there's just whatever, and it's a whole lot of this stuff all building together. I know too. It's like I still own my email box mostly. That's one we're talking about. Like if she had that and I just didn't even have access to it, that's going to help a lot, right? And just
that's the first thing. I mean, I'm going to go back up to this order here is I would start at the bottom and see where can I win back time that I'm currently feeling like I've got to be plugged into something. And there's very few emails that are an emergency. And like, let's say the inbox, there might be a few, let's say it's a closing and you got to get back to this one quickly if something comes in. Just communicate that with your EA. Hey, I've got this thing coming up. It's closing on Friday. The title company is going to be emailing back sometime today. What I need you to do is, I know normally I have you looking at the inbox, 3-4 times a day. I just need you to keep it open today. As soon as that thing comes in, reply back to it and do this, or text me on it, or whatever it's going to be. That way you can be fully focused, and if you didn't get a text that she's got it taken care of. Okay. So I think that's part of it, but I would start here and go up and get that inbox time back, because most of our inboxes we don't need to be in, and it's just a massive distraction machine. Okay.
I'll find 12 things to do that are I don't need to do, or could be done 2 weeks from now. It would not matter one way or the other.
Yeah. So what you can do, we have, I believe we have an inbox handler training, but a lot of these trainings we're going to go back to and refresh and update. But with that, you're going to have your EA next to you, or on a Google Meet a couple times a day. You're going to review emails together, and then over that few weeks, you'll be able to kind of create buckets. Hey, any of them that are related to my transactions, put them in this label, and then you're going to teach that person how to reply to certain transaction related emails, and then they're going to go put those in the EA playbook. Right? Here's how to support Jeremy in his transactions. Or then there may be these other ones that are related to church or whatever it is that you've got going on, right? So it's like, well, awesome. I'm going to coach through those. Awesome. So let me know if anything looks like this, let me know by text message. If it doesn't look like that, or if it looks less important, save that for our next EA sync and just give me a quick update on it. Hey, Jeremy, there's a church barbecue 2 Sundays from now. Email came through. Want to let you know. You want me to sign you up for that? Like, those are things that can just wait until your next EA sync. Right.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing, dude, is it is hard because I'm a squirrel. Braden works in here with me every day. Susan knows I'm a squirrel. She's got to sometimes hound me to get certain things to her. But I think as long as we've got the commitment to get better, we were talking on it was Monday. I was talking Susan on the phone. I'm like, hey, I just need to get better at that. I need to keep working on that part. I need to nail my discipline on that part. Keep on me for that. I'm going to hit it. So ask them to challenge you, get better at those things that you just need to get better at. And there are things that you've got to get better at.
Yeah.
So the other thing that might be easy to
go ahead. Sorry.
The other thing that might be easy to misconstrue here is the difference between a calendar that's fully labeled and a calendar that's fully unavailable. Like, we're not necessarily saying you need to have every single block exactly what you're doing. If Jeremy doesn't get to this 10 minutes of email, doesn't get done. Oh, a call came in. What? Because what's going to happen more often and maybe be more detrimental, Jeremy, is, oh, something falls off my calendar. Now I have an hour and a half. What do I do? Guess I'll twiddle my thumbs, or guess I'll go check Google News. It's like, well, if your calendar's fully labeled, if this needs to get done, I put that on Wednesday, and it's labeled what it is, what it needs to do. The links are there. You know exactly what to do with that extra hour you bought back. I'm going to go grab that and start working on it. Or, hey, I need to make sure I have focus time blocked off. If a call comes in, okay, the focus time got missed, but does that need to get moved, or was that not important? Maybe it doesn't go on my calendar next time. But fully labeled means you can track it and move things. We're not necessarily saying it needs to be fully blocked off and nothing can squeeze or move.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, Veronica has a comment up there. I need to be more assertive with this. That's one that's probably tricky, right? Because I think unless there's that conversation with the EA from the CEO to say, hey, this is what I want, and I want you to do this, kind of giving that permission. Sometimes the EA won't know where that line is. I can say, in the early days of me working with EA, working with Jen, when she would try to hold me accountable, I think it's probably an ego thing. I got a little bit defensive sometimes because I'm like, oh, I was going to do that, or I'll get to it, or I know I got to get that done, but I would do it almost like, Jen, I got this. But what she would see is I didn't have it, because over and over again I was showing I didn't have it. And so I think that's one thing as CEOs that we've got to do is we've got to pull back and, number one, go, okay, our EA is here to help us. Our EA is here not to reprimand us, but what we've got to do is we've got to give them permission and tell them how we want them to communicate to us when we're going off track. And we have to welcome that fully. We have to welcome it fully. Like I said, that conversation with Susan did it in an amazing way. She's like, Trevor, hey, how do we make sure that these things are getting done? These things that they're spotty. Sometimes you nail them, sometimes you don't. But this one activity, how do we make sure that gets done? Because it's not getting done. And I'm like, yeah, it's not getting done. I've got to first of all commit to getting better at it. Second of all, let's work on a better system. And she suggested a better system. I'm like, cool, let's try that. So CEOs, I want you to have conversations with your EAs to give them permission, that their job is to make sure that you're getting your most important things done, and you expect them to call you out and show you when you're not getting those things done, because that's how you can make amazing things happen together. Then you guys can figure out how that communication happens, right? What the tone is, and things like that.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Joseph, Judy, she needs to listen to you. She needs to listen to you. So
I realize the importance of we have to empower them and then be willing to listen when they start leaning into that and allow them to do it. Because I don't know if I've gotten defensive so much when Veronica's tried to keep me accountable, but it's been more, I'll slough it off, kind of like, it wasn't that important, or that kind of thing, and whatever. And I slipped my way out of it.
That'll reinforce for her that it's not important. So then she'll stop reminding you, and now nobody's
exactly.
doing it.
Yep.
Yeah. What happens, and I would say I'm really pretty darn diligent with this today. 6, 7, 8 years ago, I would schedule over my workouts, no problem. I would schedule over dates with my wife. Going, well, I'll get the workout in later today. I would never get the workout in later today if I scheduled
never.
Right? Well, my wife and we'll talk, and we'll get the date rescheduled. It would never get rescheduled. Okay. Yeah. And so no matter how optimistic I am that I'm going to find a new slot for it, I'm not. And so I had to tell Jen, because what happened was I told her, hey, Jen, this time is sacred. Nothing gets scheduled over it, until 3 weeks later, I suggest to schedule over it. And so she did. And then another 2 weeks later, what comes by, and she's like, hey, your calendar is really crammed, but they're trying to book a podcast or this meeting or whatever it was. She goes, the only time it overlaps with your workout. Is that okay? I'm like, yeah, that's okay. And so she does. And so what do I see another month or two later? Literally, my workout's gone on that next Wednesday. I didn't approve it, and something else is scheduled over it, because I gave her the signals twice that it was okay to schedule over my workout. It wasn't her fault. I did it twice. She was taking the cue and saying, cool, he doesn't really care about this. So entrepreneurs, lock down what is sacred, what will not get scheduled over. Susan knows my Tuesday morning date mornings don't get scheduled over. It's hard, right? It's hard. It's hard because you look at the calendar and go, shoot, where's it going to go then? Well, something else less important gets cut out. Or even better, you work with your EA and your team and say, okay, I need help with this. Can someone else do this thing? Can I do 10-80-10 with you and see if you can tackle this thing? And it really challenges. When we restrict our calendar and we stick to those buckets, it actually enables us to delegate better.
Dude, I was going to say something along that same lines too. I've been trying to push into really being disciplined about having a Sabbath day. I think it's an incredibly valuable thing, but as I think through it forces kind of the same thing you're talking about, is like the rest of the time that you do have available then has to be more productive. Like, it doesn't, you're still working really hard during that other time. And there's things that are going to get put to the side, and things that are more important. It forces you to prioritize properly.
Exactly. Any other questions, y'all? While someone raises the hand, and we'll dive into questions. I've got another common thing that comes up, and we'll go to you, Wyatt. Talking about the entrepreneurs sticking to those commitments is early on, Jen and I created that weekly sync. So we started having that weekly sync way early on. And I would say for a couple of years, for sure for a year, I don't remember the year, but it was probably somewhere between 2016 and 2019. I would over and over again cancel and skip that weekly sync. Over and over again. Hey, Jen, I'm slammed. Can we async this? Right? Can we async our weekly sync? Susan and I would say rarely, I don't even know if we ever have totally skipped our Monday weekly sync. Maybe if one of us were sick or something was happening, but that's rarely happens. Now we will async a quick update on a Friday. Maybe we'll do an async update on Slack or a text message thread or something like that. But CEOs, don't skip your weekly sync, because that's that one opportunity every week that you get a chance to decide those priorities, talk with your EA, and have that person fully supporting you in that week. I was discovering the reason I was skipping them is because I got my workout done at 9 a.m. My weekly sync with Jen was at 9:15. I get to talking with my buddy out here till 9:10. I come in here. I've got 5 minutes now to get my brain right. I realized there's 2 Slacks I didn't answer back on Friday, and I didn't organize my time. I didn't even look at my priority tracker yet. And at that time, I had to do my priority tracker before I got on that call with her. And so I would say, hey, Jen, I'm really busy. I'm going to wrap up my planning async. Can we just skip this and we'll text? It was a disaster. It was a disaster. It kept her in reactionary mode. And when I had a review with her mid-year, that was what she brought up. She just said, Trevor, I don't feel like I can serve you well because you keep on skipping the time that we're saying is important. And it makes me feel like I'm not important. And I'm like, wow, that action is showing that too. So I'm not perfect in it, guys. It's something I'm still working on, but I would say that hit me in that moment where it's like, okay, weekly syncs are priority because that person's my partner. It's not just a person I just toss stuff to. Okay. Wyatt.
Yeah. So Jamie's my EA, and we're at the size of a company where a lot of the stuff that she's doing is like operations type of stuff. Like her job is overlapping with what would be an operations manager. And
Yep.
I got to believe at some point we get to the size where that has to be two different roles. And Jamie either has to move into operations manager full-time or, EA at a higher level. How do you navigate that transition, and how do you know when that needs to happen?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I can tell you how I've done it. So oftentimes with the EA is going to pick up anything that you traditionally did that you can no longer do or drains your energy you don't want to do, right? So an example, when Carrot was way early on, I would work with the CPA for the payroll, HR. I was HR. There was no HR, right? It's like I was HR. And so then when we started to hire people, I would go out there and post a job description. I would post a job ad and all those things. The applications would come in. I would get drowned, and I would just do a bad job hiring because I wouldn't get through them all. And then once we actually started doing actual payroll, like real payroll, then something had to happen there. We had to work with the payroll company, do these things. So those things I just handed off to Jen initially. And so she became HR for a season. Was she the best person for HR? Nope. But was she what we needed in that season while we grew before we had enough funds to hire a full-time HR person? 100%. And so what I prefer is if you have an EA who you guys both see that person, they feel that their mission and what they love to do is support you in that mission versus want to be an operator, then at least for me, we're going to then delegate those things off from the EA that don't make sense for their role. And then you'll figure out what that next job is to hire to delegate those things from them. If you guys are both, no, they love this job, they want to support you in it, they want to be your EA long term, you are very likely going to need a full-time EA if you have dozens of employees, right? But in the early days, your EA, you don't have 40 hours a week of task delegation. So it's the other things, HR, working with the attorney on this thing, the communication on this thing, the organization of this project. You're going to map it out, and that person's going to go organize it for you in Asana or wherever you're using it. That's all cool stuff for an EA to do. Okay. So now the other example is Danny, who's on my team. She was my EA for about a year and a half, but that was between Jen and between Jen and Susan. Danny is an ops person. She can do all the EA work, but her heart is an ops. Like, she wants to be an operations person. She loves the operations side of things. She loves the wrangling all the HR stuff. She loves the onboarding and hiring people. She loves the driving the culture initiatives, all those things. That's what she loves to do. Yeah. When she was being my EA, I asked her the question. I said, Danny, you're amazing. I would love for you to be my EA forever. Like, what do you want though? She goes, well, I said, what parts of this do you like? And she goes, well, there's nothing I hate, which is always an answer that it's not what fires her up. So like, there's nothing I hate, but yeah, it's not my dream to be your EA forever, but I'll do anything you need me to do while you need me to do it. You go, great. So what do you want to do? Well, get her back into operations. So I think it's a conversation with you and your EA. And I like the 5-year question. Where do you want to be in 5 years? If you could wave a magic wand and you're looking at 5 years from now, you're looking at the type of work that you want to do, the type of role that you want to do, the pay, like ask the pay question, those types of things. What does that look like in 5 years? And then that'll be able to tell you if that person's going to grow with you as an EA and you just delegate off the things to other people from that EA, or if that person's going to grow into ops.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Thank you.
sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. For sure. Any other questions, y'all? Fire away. And if there's any questions for Susan, I'll put her on the spot. If there's any questions you guys have for Susan, she's amazing.
I'll ask one to Susan.
Yeah.
This is just an open-ended one, just because I'd be curious to see what she says, and I'll bet it speaks things for the other assistants here. What's been the most challenging thing? Trevor's a lot like, I mean, most of us CEOs are a lot like Trevor. Like, what's been probably the most challenging thing for you to be to find to rein Trevor in with, I guess, that kind of thing, or things that like, man, he's really done a good job on this area, and you think might be supportive for us.
Sure. Yeah, I think that when you have a very full calendar during the week, and there is some focus time needed, just being able to get that time in there and get it scheduled. So just prioritizing. And what really helps is having that priority tracker and syncing it with your calendar so that you can make sure that those number one priorities are in there, and, linking up your documents so that, you're not looking all over for them. He's not having to look everywhere for them. And so everything's in there as he needs it. But yeah, I would say that just being able to prioritize first, using that priority tracker as a game changer, and syncing everything up into with a weekly cadence as well. So, I mean, the goal is start simple, find a rhythm that works for you guys, and build from there. And we're here to partner with you guys in that too. So if there's any questions following the training, I'm going to be available, and I'd be happy to link up my calendar to you guys here as well too, so that you can schedule time with me.
Right on.
Love it.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll double down what Susan said, that my biggest challenge is when I've got those big focus blocks, is to actually do what I'm supposed to do in that focus block.
Yep.
Like I will thrive if someone's there working with me and I just have to sit there and perform. Like when Braden and I on Wednesday mornings before this call sit down and do our training, where we create our trainings. I really enjoy it because I've got a partner sit next to, we're going to work together. He riffs, he challenges me,
Yep.
he keeps me on track. So that's a blessing. When Susan and I are working on stuff, same thing. It's when I go off on my own and I've got to go get something done, I have a real hard time with that. And that's why sometimes once or twice a month, I pull a 2 to 3 a.m. and I work for 7 hours at night after everyone gets to bed. And I got 4 weeks worth of work done, because for some reason at that moment, I can get it all done. There's no distractions, and I'll invariably do that. Yeah, I'll invariably do that once or twice a month. And,
Yeah.
and I think, at least for me, I don't dislike that. I kind of enjoy that. I get a lot of energy from it, but I can't do it all the time.
Yeah.
Yep. Veronica.
Okay. So I guess my question would be for Susan, how do you handle administrative tasks that are interrupted, that interrupts your focus, that should proactively be managing or eliminated? How do you do that?
I'm sorry.
Okay. So you get administrative tasks and you're really focused on these tasks, but these interruptions are happening and you're trying to keep up with your CEO. How do you proactively manage or eliminate those tasks?
Right. Well, I would probably say set up some of your own focus blocks so that you can go in there and manage your priorities, and set that up on a weekly basis. So following the weekly cadence, to be able to make sure that you're able to have that time to go in there and do that. Are you saying for constant interruptions? Is that what you're referring to? Yes. And distractions?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you have the focus block set up on your own calendar?
I do, but I don't have them designated for certain times. I just have a 10 to 6 focus block.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I would set up specific focus blocks. And what I did was set up my own priority tracker and goals as well, so that I could do the same thing and follow that same pattern that I've set up for Trevor. So set up your own calendar in the same way, and that allows you to have your own specific blocks, link up the documents that you need so that everything's there, same system. And I found that that's very helpful.
Thank you so much.
Are there times, Susan, when you are unavailable to Trevor? Like in your own focus blocks, and times when you just, he might send messages? I know that's one, like, I know I send Veronica messages just about any time and she's almost always available. It's like, that's good, but I know I'm probably distracting her from things that she could be doing.
I think that's the great thing about the working with me, Doc, is that you can, use that document to find out what's the best way to work together. As for Trevor and I am available. I have, it's I think something that has to be customized though for what works best for you. And so, I'm available right now. I'm talking with Carly, his wife, on the phone for something that just came up, right? So want to make sure that there's anything that could be a possible emergency or something urgent handled. So I try to make myself available as an EA as much as possible. But I do have my own focus box set up where I don't take calls except for if it was from Trevor.
Yeah.
I think and her and I have talked about this. I think she's sometimes too available. And that's where I've told, like, Susan, don't worry, like, check out for the weekend. It doesn't have to be worked on for now. But I think that's a sign of a great partner is someone who recognizes that they want to be available for what's important. And then, you'll just kind of keep on honing it in. And I think if as a CEO, if we don't tell them, hey, I want you to not be available, and same thing, define what an emergency is and vice versa, then they can potentially pull back a little bit and go, okay, cool, I know the rules of the game now. So set the rules of the game. In that working with me, Doc, use that AI tool that we've got, define what an emergency is. And at least in my mind, as long as I don't get a text message with one of those things, I assume it's not one of those things and it can wait until Monday. And you want your EA to do the same. It's like you get focused by elimination. And what I mean by that is I know I've decided these 3 things are the only thing that I'm going to get reached out to in these after hours. That means that everything else is eliminated as a possibility of happening right now. Because what we'll do as CEOs, we'll make up all these scenarios. I wonder if this is getting done. I wonder if that happened. I wonder if this email gets sent. I wonder if this did this. Well, come up with the 2-3 things that you actually care about that are those emergencies. Everything else is a no then if they don't reach out to you.
Yeah.
Right. It creates a lot more freedom.
And if you're both really clear on the expectations, then because Trevor will send that message, and that's because we've gotten clear on it that I'll get a message from Trevor at 6:37, and most of the time I know I can ignore that. Glance at it, it's not in this bucket. I'll get to that tomorrow, unless it's like, one of these things. Okay, let's see what we can do about it right now. And I don't feel any guilt or stress about it because we're really clear what those things are. And the other way around too. I think I can send Trevor a message and I don't often feel too worried about it because I know he'll ignore it until he needs the answer most of the time.
Yep. Yeah, that's a biggie because in the early days of having an EA or in this example working with you too, Braden, if you don't communicate it and you don't immediately answer back, because today we're in an instant response world, right? Where if you don't get an instant response from, I've got a good friend. Okay, his name is Daniel, and Daniel is his actual name, but Keith, you've probably heard of him. Daniel Clayman, awesome dude. He's a hard charger. I'm in some big real estate deals with him, but he lives in a different world of communication than I do. I would say I need to get way better. I'll give myself a C- on communication, but he's in a, you got to answer me back within 5 minutes mindset. And if I don't answer him back within 5 minutes, I'm not a good friend all of a sudden. I'm like, dude. And so he sends me a message on Friday. I don't answer it back within an hour. I didn't answer it back until Monday because he sent it to me like at 7 and it wasn't all that important. I'm like, dude, I'll get back to him on Monday. I didn't see it on Saturday. I saw it Sunday evening. I'm like, I'm not going to message him on Sunday. It's not important. So I messaged him Monday. But before I could message him, he's like, Trevor, he goes, you're one of the worst communicators. He goes, he like said something else. I'm like, dude, it was a Friday evening when you messaged me. It wasn't even important. We'll talk about it Monday. If there's something wrong with your family or you're congratulating me on something, it was my birthday, whatever it was something that literally was a work thing that we're just going to tackle next week. So I communicated that with him. I'm like, dude, number one, I don't pack my phone around with me on Sundays most of the time. Number two, I'm really not looking at it most of the time on Saturdays. So I didn't even have the opportunity to reply back to you. And he's like, okay, I get it now. I shouldn't reply. I shouldn't expect a reply on the weekends. Yeah, exactly. I love you, man. But unless it's a friend related thing, if it's work related, I will not reply back to you on a weekend. Friend, I'll reply back to you as a friend. But yeah, just having that conversation so they don't think that you're ignoring.
And reinforce it. Veronica, don't respond to Jeremy if it's not important and he thinks you're available 24/7, but you don't want to be. Maybe you do. That's not for me to say. But if you don't want to be available 24/7 and he sends you something that can wait, don't respond. You need to reinforce for him that certain things are going to be responded to, or other things. You need to reinforce what you want him to expect.
Yeah.
One other thing is that I tend to group messages together and then do them all at once. So say, for example, it's nothing urgent, but these are things that need to get handled today or tomorrow. I will send a Slack message for all of those, and pretty much, within 5 minutes, he's got all of it. And then I'll check it back, see if he's responded to any of them. And then a few hours later, pop over a message and said, hey, let's do a Slack catch up. And then he'll take care of them. So then we're not having to meet up. He can take care of it when he needs to. And I found that that's a really good way to bucket it, is just all at once, drop them in the one bucket. And then if it's urgent, of course, the text, or however you like to handle it, phone call, text. We don't use pagers anymore, thank goodness.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. I'll
That's
show
because a lot of those 5 things that you might bucket, Susan, I'm assuming those are all things that like Trevor can probably answer quite quickly and easily, right? They're just like ding, 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 knock them out, like whatever.
Right. And so he doesn't have to go into his inbox. I'll take a snapshot a lot of times and pop it through Slack, and he'll respond back. I'll take a snapshot of maybe a file that I'm working on that goes with it, so he doesn't have to go open up a link, get into anything. Makes it fast, whatever makes it the most convenient, to pop in there.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, that is way helpful. So if everyone here, specifically you, Jeremy, because you kind of mentioned it, if you feel like, or Veronica, if you guys feel like there's constant communication going on all the time, yeah, just pick a couple times to batch it and then identify the emergencies. Okay, because like I said, an emergency, she can reach out anytime, but you've got to define what the emergencies are, and then everything else is not an emergency, which means it can be batched.
Yeah.
And that does help, because when your energy is ready to tackle those things, I'll go through, and same thing, it's not perfect, but Susan she'll see me go through 5 or 6 in a row that have been sitting there for a day or two, but I read them, I'm like, I'm not ready to answer these, they don't seem like all that urgent, but then I blow through 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them. And it'd be really hard if it was onesie twosie. If it was like, here's one at 4, and here's one at 7, and here's one at 9.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, you just move through them quicker.
If I could add one more thing that is really helpful, is a midweek sync. If you can't wait until Friday to get together to go over, or sorry, Monday, that's when we do our sync. If you can't wait to get together to go over everything, set up a midweek sync so that you can, maybe it's a half an hour instead of an hour. Maybe it's over the phone. But hopefully you can take care of everything async over the week, but if not, set up that midweek sync, and that can really relieve the pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. I like that. You guys are giving me a couple of good ideas. Some of it's just really just crunching down some of the stuff and just forcing, like, these are the windows, these are the blocks.
Yeah.
That'll force things to, like those ones and twosies, like you're saying, Trevor, that's just crazy annoying and distracting, and just like figuring out how to do that. So it's not, they're just little things.
Yeah. And part of the
Bringing
aim,
in the urgent type stuff, it's just little trickle stuff.
yeah, part of the aim for me is, I think, because for, a person who is kind of more in that high quick start, low follow through side of things, any distraction will completely take me off. So we've got to write down kind of what are the things that will distract you. Slack will distract me, but less than email. So email distracts the heck out of me. Slack can be distracting. So I tend not to look in Slack threads. And so I tell people to DM me. So if they're gonna @sign me in a thread, I always have them DM me a link to the thread, because what it does, it enables me to not have to feel like I have the temptation to even go look through threads to see if people need me for something. Because that's what we oftentimes do. We look through things in case someone messaged us or in case someone needs us for something. And oftentimes they don't, but then we end up finding this rabbit trail that takes us off in some other direction. So yeah, if you can go, okay, how do I eliminate the temptation to do the things that give me that pull me out of focus? So the email inbox, just like we teach the inbox handler, you'll have that tag that has the emails that need your review, or even better, the screenshot, like Susan does, the screenshot of that email with her question or her recommendation slacking. That way I can just completely avoid the inbox. So that distraction is gone. And then in Slack, like I said, communicate with the team that DM me the link to any @ sign, like where you're tagging me, but I won't find it in the thread. So all you've got to look is one spot. You got to look at DMs on Slack, and that's it. Or if you're a text message person, so for me, one of my rules is after hours, I don't check Slack, but you can text me. So after 5, 6 o'clock, if Susan needs me for something or it kind of lands in that urgency bucket, she'll text me, knowing that I'm probably not going to see it in Slack till tomorrow.
Yeah.
So you start to kind of create these rules that enable you to keep distractions in a bucket, and it kind of adds a lot more peace more consistently.
Yeah, nice.
Yep. If there's any other questions, raise the hand. I'm just going to show this really quick because Joseph asked for it. I know he had to bounce, but this is something I can send through to you guys. It's not fancy. It might be, some of you guys might think it's an overkill, but I found myself, if a plumbing issue came up or there was a special light bulb in our UV water filter, that every single time that thing went out, I'm like, oh, I don't remember what the bulb was. I knew I ordered it on Amazon, but I could go find that. You spend 30 minutes looking for that thing. So I just started to create a house playbook. And so this is something now where we have playbooks for each one of our properties. And Susan will proactively add to it. So if we have a plumber that we started working with, that's awesome, she'll add that to the playbook. So we're never wondering, who's the plumber again? It's like, well, did you check the playbook? So this kind of helps you outline some of that stuff, even on down to nerdy stuff. Like I could never remember because our paint colors in our house were similar from my bedroom to my kid's bedroom. And I'd be out there for 30 minutes, it seemed like trying to figure out which of these 3 cans is the paint color because we're wanting to touch something up. So you open it up, you grab a brush, you go test it, you wait for 20 minutes for it to dry. So we just started taking pictures of everything. It's like, this is the paint color for this room. This is the paint color for this room. So we go out there, we know exactly which paint color is for which room. It's in the playbook. Just nerdy stuff. We're just like, ask the question, is this repeatable? Is this a pain in the butt? Would I like to never do this again? If the answer is yes, while you have the information, put it on a document. And you'll never have to think about it again. Yeah, that's right. Let's see the thing. Yeah, it did. We're gonna have to figure out that. I haven't added any of the playbook stuff with our new pool and everything yet. All right, cool. Well, y'all, any final questions?
Thanks, dude.
Yep. Well, thank you guys.
Thanks, Trevor.
Yep, hit me. Yep. Thank you, Veronica. Yeah, if you guys need any help, like I said, reach out. These calls are a great spot. But also, like Susan, I had extended that offer, especially if it's the EA. Reach out to Susan, and she'd be happy to open up some times for this group to get on with your executive assistants, and so we can help you guys out. Because I think especially the EAs really don't have a lot of community out there, and they're you guys are just working your butts off to try to serve your CEOs as well as you possibly can, and oftentimes not a lot of support. So if we can be that support for you, we'd absolutely love to help any way that we can. Cool. Awesome. Thank you guys. You guys have an amazing week. And next week and the week after, we've got some amazing trainings. This group here next week is going to be live, the how to own your time training, which is going to be a play. It's going to be a building upon this one here. All right, y'all.
Right on.
Cool. Appreciate you guys. Have a good week. See ya.
See you guys. Hey, Keith.
What up, man? How's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
Good.
I'm late to pick
Okay.
up the boys, but it's good to see you guys.
Right on.
Bye.
Just saying hi. See you later, Keith.
Later, bud. Bye.